Any elite performance, it's known you can train three things. You can train your craft, so in your case, rugby. You can train your body, so you had really good strength and conditioning coaches. And the third thing you can train on top of your craft and your body is your mind. What did you do during your career, both at the start, during and at the end, around mental skills?
Now, you had to work at it. I remember one of my first test matches, I think it was Aussie 21s, and we just got too emotional. We're playing England, we were going to get beaten by them. I remember before we went out, we sang the national anthem, which was a silly thing to do, and everyone's quite emotional and almost like teary. I was one of those guys. And you go out and you run out on the field and then you sing the national anthem again, so everyone's probably just emotionally just too aroused. We've gone over the tipping point. And then, like, the English guys, they beat us that day, beat us well. And it was like, well, what happened? Then the following week, the big one we were really working on was the New Zealand Colts. That's the New Zealand under 21s. And we played them, and so I started in that game. I didn't play the next week. I sat on the bench and watched us just dismantle the New Zealand under 21s. We had a really good team on paper. We should have beaten that England team on paper, but we didn't, and that was my big takeaway. We went away the next week, played under 21s as before a test match, and there was no singing the national anthems beforehand. It was really calm, it was really focused. We went in there and everyone was really at that, you talk about that right arousal level, ready to play. It was a real lesson because, we're all a little bit too amped up the week before. So that mental piece is really important in terms of your preparation, but just before you go on to perform, just getting yourself in that sweet spot. And obviously I was at the AIS, so I was able to, you had sports psychologists, and you're able to talk through that. So let's go through that. And it comes back to preparation. And sports psychology, the really good sports psychologists, they bring it back to basically giving you a security blanket of, here's your routine, understand these things about yourself, and when you perform your best, and then you work back and try to replicate that. So I loved, as part of my training routine was during the week, was obviously having a flotation tank, and that just was a great area just to calm down, recover, but you could also do a bit of mental rehearsal, but also for me it was a great way of doing your breathing. So I knew how to bring myself down very, very quickly. I wasn't always in a float tank, but then you talk about people like Eddie Jones, and we had a guy called it'll come to me.
Was your AIS Clark Perry?
Yeah, Clark. It was Clark. So he found out that when we went to Cape Town, there's a place, he said, you know what, George, I found out there's a flotation tank in Cape Town. It's about 20 minutes out of where we stay. On your day off, which is my routine in Canberra, you can do that, you can replicate your routine. So when I'd go to Cape Town, I could actually float, which is awesome. So Cape Town all of a sudden became this great situation whereby I could maintain my routine. But those sorts of things really helped me because it just enabled you to actually, you can bring yourself up, but you kind of know when you've gone too far. It's just bring yourself down, particularly before a performance. And obviously when I was captain, you actually need to be knowing what are the first few calls of the game, what are we doing here, this, boom, boom, boom. You need to be on. And you make adjustments along the way, because it doesn't always go to plan. But the first few minutes kind of do, in terms of, it's going to be a kick-off, either kick off, you're going to be defending, you're going to be kicking off, it's going to be the first line out, what are you going to go to, etc., etc.
A lot of footballers, young footballers that I work with, they, with respect, have no idea on this, or they just haven't thought about this. And if you look at your background, playing different sports, getting different skills, from cricket, the endurance, very different playing a 5-day test match compared to an 80-minute game of a test match rugby, right? But then studying sports science, I can't help but think that was a godsend for you to learn about Yerkes-Dodson inverted U hypothesis. Let's get all physiological. That's an X. I'm an exercise physiologist by trade.
Summation of forces with biomechanics, and that was like Marky Sayers, who looked after the All Blacks and did a lot of stuff with the Brumbies. University of Canberra. It was an amazing experience for me, and it's an amazing university even now. I think it's one of the well-regarded and well-known universities in terms of that sports science, skill acquisition, sports coaching.
Clark Perry is the godfather of Australian sport psychology. He was foundation at the AIS and mentored many
Louise
people.
Burke. Yeah, you're getting those people and bond. Like they're coming in and that they'll be doing the lecturing, the guest lecturing for a period of time. So you're getting the best of the best. So we're really, really lucky. So again, we talk about that sliding door moment and just being in the right place at the right time. It's definitely the case. And so everything I was learning, I was actually living, because I was, at the AIS, but I was also breaking into the senior ACT team at that stage with the Kookaburras. You're playing under 21s and you're doing a lot of training. So recovery and everything that you're learning about was a really interesting time. I remember doing that at the same time as Rod Kafer. So Kafer was doing sports coaching. So we're really into it, and it was a special time.